Sit down, khlopche. Warm your hands while the fire's still kicking. Rough day in the zone, eh? Oh, I see. You're new here, Mali. I can see it in your eyes. Confused? Scared? Or maybe just curious? Probably all of the above. Sit. Maybe you'll learn a thing or two and actually stay alive until sunrise. So, you want to know about the frazzi, the factions. Let me tell you how people try to make sense of this madness. You see, kid, most of us start the same way. We cross the border as vilni stalkeri, free stalkers. We come here for the artifacts, for the legend of the wish granter, or simply because the world outside became too small. We are the backbone of the zone. We don't want to rule it, we just want to survive it. But the freedom of a loner is a double-edged sword. Because when there is no law, the worst of humanity starts to crawl out of the shadows. And that's where you find the bandity. You see, some stalkers realize it's easier to take an artifact from a dying man than to find one in a gravity anomaly. They trade their honor for a leather jacket and a sawed-off shotgun. They aren't a faction, they're a plague. But even among thieves, there's a code. A twisted one, sure, but it's there. But then you have the ones who even the bandits won't look at. The renegati. These are the outcasts of the outcasts. Traitors, cowards, and dogs who bit the hand that fed them. They hide in the deepest marshes and the forgotten corners where the sun doesn't shine. If you see a bandit, he might just rob you. If you see a renegade, don't wait for a greeting. Just fire. Because they've already forgotten what it means to be human. But where there's government money, there's also private interest. Just beyond the light of the labs, you'll find the Naimansi, the mercenaries. These guys don't care about the zone's soul, and they definitely don't care about yours. They aren't here for artifacts. They're here for informatia, blueprints, hard drives, and the kind of secrets that make people disappear. They're professional, well-funded, and they play both sides. One day they're guarding scientists, the next they're cutting their throats for a higher bidder. If you see a blue patch with an eagle through your binoculars, don't wait for a privyet. Just turn around. To a merc, you're not a person. You're just a witness that needs to be silenced. But you know what they say, kid. Where there's chaos, someone will always try to bring a hammer down. If the renegades are the rot of the zone, then Varta is the iron cage meant to hold it. They call themselves the Ward for a reason. They aren't just soldiers. They're the new law. They have the toys, the armor, and the cold eyes of men who think they can tame the untamable. They don't see a person in you. They see a statistical anomaly that needs to be filed away or erased. But don't confuse the world with the IPSF. They're the ones at the perimeter, the guardians of the wall. On paper, professionally. Bound by a code to protect the world from the zone and assist Devcheni. But in the zone, paper burns easily. Behind their heavy vests and helmets, they're just men looking for a way out. They'll turn a blind eye to you for the right price. A few artifacts, or a bottle of Horilka. But be careful, khlopche. Cross a man like Captain Sukin, and you'll find out that a corrupt soldat's bullet is just as loud as a zealot's. But even the professionals look over their shoulders when they hear the boots of Dove. You might know them as duty. These boys aren't here for money or order. They're here for a crusade. They've been fighting the zone since before you were born, and they've seen so much death that they've become part of it. They don't want to study the zone, and they don't want to rule it. They want to put a bullet in its heart and watch it bleed out. They're tired, khlopche, but a tired hound is often the most dangerous. But not everyone wants to kill the zone, khlopche. We have a sobi. Just across the barricades, you'll find Volya. You probably know them as Freedom. They are the polar opposite of the duty boys. They don't want to destroy the zone. They want to open it up. They think the zone is a miracle, a chance for us to be truly free. But let me tell you, sometimes their freedom feels a lot like chaos. And then we have Isobi. There are the idealists. The ones who took that dream even further. They call themselves Iskra, Spark. These guys aren't just looking for a party or a fight. They truly believe the zone is the key to our future. They want to light a fire of knowledge, to find a way for humanity to evolve. It's a beautiful thought, if it doesn't get them killed first. But those days are gone, Mali. The old bunkers have been replaced by something much bigger and much colder. Now we have SIRCAA. They took everything the ecologists knew and turned it into a government machine. They don't care about your ideals or your freedom. They want data. They want to turn this miracle into a series of equations. They're useful, sure. They pay well and they have the best meds. But remember, to a scientist, you're just another variable in an experiment that's been running since '86. But science only takes you so far, khlopche. There are places in the zone where your Geiger counter just gives up and stops clicking. And there are people who tried to dance on that edge before. Like czyste nebo, clear sky. Jadai, they were like the spark of their time. Warriors, scientists, dreamers. They wanted to understand the heart of the zone. But the heart, it's not meant to be looked at. They vanished into a storm of their own making. Now they're just a ghost story we tell to keep rookies from getting too cocky. And that brings us to the ones who stayed in that storm. You've heard the legends of the Monolith, right? The holy fanatics who protected the center like rabid dogs. Well, things have changed. Now people speak of noontide. They say they're recovering, that the voice in their heads finally went silent when the great rock shattered. They call themselves a new name. They try to look human again, but can you ever really trust a man who spent years worshipping a stone? A man who forgot his own mother's name to please the zone. They say they're seeking redemption. I say, a dog that's been brainwashed might stop barking, but it still knows how to bite. Oberежно, Stalker. Redemption in this place usually comes with a heavy price. So, Oshifse, there you have it. The law, the chaos, the science, and the madness. The zone is a mirror, khlopche. It doesn't show you what you want. It shows you who you really are. Now, get some sleep. The morning emission is coming, and you'll need your strength if you want to choose a side, or stay alive long enough to avoid them all. Бережи себе. Stay safe out there. Don't let the zone take your soul before it takes your body.